Welcome, everyone. I'm Lori Howard, CASA's Program Specialist Coordinator. I'm excited you're here with me today at the IELCE Civics Network meeting for California for August. Hope you're having a nice summer, and I assume those of you who are here are back at school, at least temporarily, to come to this meeting, and we're glad to have you here. If you would, please type your name and agency into the chat box. That helps me give you quote unquote credit for being here today. And during the meeting, please register at caadultedtraining.org if you haven't already. We'd like to know who's here, and it would help me if you would register. I used to say after the meeting, but that doesn't work anymore. So sometime during the meeting before 2:30, if you would register, that would be so great. And if you're not receiving a meeting reminder, which I sent yesterday, and I send every Monday before the meetings, please email me your address at lbhoward@casas.org, or you could send it to elcivics@casas.org. Please don't put it in the chat because I won't see it there. What else did I want to tell you? I think that's it.
Stephanie's online.
Pardon me? Did you have a question? Okay, if you can mute until you have a question, that would be great. So I'm going to start. Let's see. And give you our agenda. I'm going to start with a CDE update. Actually, you're going to get a tiny preview of tomorrow's meeting. That's what I wanted to tell you, is that we're having this meeting on Tuesday this month because the statewide meeting that's usually on Tuesday at this time switched to Wednesday, which is usually our time to meet. So thank you for switching your schedules and meeting with me today. And you'll be getting a tiny little preview of some of the things that might be talked about tomorrow at the statewide network meeting. So we're going to have a CDE update. I'm going to talk about civic participation and IELCE. Stephanie Fitzpatrick, our newest CASA's program specialist, will tell you about citizenship preparation. Portia LaFerla, who usually tells us about citizenship preparation, is on vacation. Lucky her. So, and then promising practice awardees at the CASA Summer Institute. A number of agencies were given promising practice awards, and Stephanie Fitzpatrick put that all together for us and interviewed people and set it all up, and she's going to tell you about the awardees this year. Just a brief description, because I think at the statewide meetings, each agency that got an award will eventually be able to give you a presentation about their program. So we're just going to give you a little teaser about that. And then just the basic information we always give. For those of you who might be new or want a refresher, at the end, after I ask for questions and we're pretty much done, I will offer a review of the COAP selection process in a little bit more detail. I'm going to be talking about it in the main part of our presentation today, but I'll do it in more detail at the end for those of you who might be new or want a refresher. And I'll also give you a tour of the IELCE Civics website. If you are new, the IELCE Civics website has all the information you could possibly want about IELCE Civics. So we'd love you to get familiar with that. And I will be giving a tour again. If you want to stay for it, you don't need to do that. So I'd like you to stay through the other information. And then if you want to stay after that, great. If not, I will not be offended if you decide to leave us at that time. And I will let you know when that is. So we have a lovely group today, and I just want to make Stephanie our co-host. There she is, just in case something happens. Okay.
Lori, are you having to use your phone, or we're okay?
Looks like it's okay.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry, what your question was to, you don't need to do it now. I'm just going to make you a co-host just in case something is untoward. But
Okay.
It seems like it's good. They said they were going to fix it by 12:15, and they have. So we'll see.
Good. Okay.
Thank you, though. Thank you for being there. Thank you, Paul, also being co-host in case we need you. Okay, so any questions about the agenda or anything you'd like to add to the agenda? Feel free to type it in the chat or unmute yourself and tell us. Okay, and for those of you who just tuned in, please type your name and agency in the chat. That would really be nice. Okay, let me go on to the next slide. Our CDE update, just again to remind you, tomorrow, a different date than usual, August 7th from 1 to 2:30 is the statewide network meeting, and you can register at this link, caadulted.org. And then after the meeting, if you can, or if you don't happen to go, or even if you do and you want the slides, you can always get them at this link. And so if you don't go and you want on Thursday to access the slides, hopefully they'll be waiting for you there. And I'm going to send these slides to everybody who's on my network meeting list. So if you want to be on my network meeting list, feel free to email me at lbhoward@casas.org or at elcivics@casas.org, and I will be sending these slides, as I always do. Okay, so CDE tomorrow is going to talk about a deliverables update and talking about this payment point certification letter. I'm going to let you see that the date has been changed from August 1st to August 15th. I'm sure your data people know that already. But the important thing for EL Civics is this thing I put an arrow in red, that for 2024-25, the IELCE, it should say report and plan, is due date has changed from what was April 30th to be due on March 31st, 2025. And that is just to give you a little bit more time, not to have everything due at the same time. So all of your other deadlines will continue to be April 30th, those things that were, and then we'll just push the IELCE plan, those of you who are 243 funded, to March 31st. That will give us a little more time also to help you and review your reports and perhaps help you adjust them if needed, et cetera. So that would be good also. And remember, for those of you 243 agencies, the report and plan is talking about what you did, what you have done from July 1, 24 to June 30th, 25, and what you plan to do in the next year. So that's what you're doing. So it wouldn't be bad for you to, starting now, just keep track of what you're doing. When I give you the tour of the website, I'll show you where you can find the summary, and I'll put it in our slides next time, the summary form that has all the questions for the IELCE report, so you can just answer them during the year. And it's a good thing to use for your planning as well. And then you could just pop it into the report on March 31st. Any questions about that? I hope that's helpful to you, that change. Okay, Dr. Zachary has recorded a welcome back message, and you can find it at this link, the welcome video. And so she would like everyone to view it and see what she has to say about this year, 24-25. Also, there's a new administrator orientation. I told you the dates before this. They are September 10th, 11th, and 12th. I got an email, and I think probably all of your new grantees and new staff have gotten this email that basically announces this and tells you who the new administrator orientation is for, which tells you here: administrators, principals, supervisor level staff, and individuals directly supporting grant administrative activities. So those of you who are supporting the EL Civics, there's a special day for that. So you could, special training for 243 funded especially, so you might want to participate in that. There's a link that will allow you to register, and you have to register for every day you want to attend, and you'll see the schedule at that time. So again, this is in the slides, and it will be out tomorrow. And you should, if you're an administrator, you should have gotten this email, and feel free to share that with any individuals directly supporting grant administrative activities that need to hear about certain things. Okay, any questions about the CDE update? Wonderful. We're going to go on to civic participation and IELCE. And the first thing I just want to mention is that on July 1, 2024, the 24-25 co-op selection process opened. And and this is how it looks on the website. I'll show that to you later. Here's the link to it, to the selection page. Excuse me, only designated people can select co-ops. So if you want to be designated, or I shouldn't say that, if your agency wants you to be the designated person, you can write to your program specialist and ask them to give you permission to do the selection process, and they can add you. My suggestion is not to wait. Select your co-ops. It is a requirement that at least one co-op must be selected by October 31st. So please don't wait. Just go in there and do it. You can always change it, but the deadline is to let us know that you can get into the system. So if you have any trouble getting into the system, it helps us to know that ahead of time, and so you won't have problems. We can help you with it. So please go in and just select, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when you go in. So the first time you enter the CASAS website to make your selections, you will see something like this for Rolling Hills. This is our experimental agency, and it'll show you what Rolling Hills selected last year. These are all the ones that they selected: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Remember that you can select up to 10 co-ops. If you want to select more, you can ask permission of your CDE consultant. Really nice to CC me because I keep track of that. And then if you have already asked permission, you can use whatever number you have permission for. So let's say you ask permission for 17. You can change the ones you choose as long as you don't go over 17. But if you need 18, then you have to ask for permission again. Okay. Let me just write myself a note. So this is what you see. And so you might want to look at the version for this year. Not much has changed, so I don't think you have to worry about that, but you can look and see what the new version is. And then you can either select, if you want to select all of them again, if your needs assessment tells you that the same ones are to be selected, you can just do that. Or you can remove the ones that need to be removed and then go to checkout. Let me take you to the next slide. So you want to select what your agency had selected the previous year or remove those selections. Just to tell you, one major change has been made this year recently, and that was to COAP 50.4. I wrote to all of you agencies that used it last year and told you that the total points possible and some passing scores changed. I wrote to the person who is your designee if you didn't get it. So if you want that information, you need that information because you did get that email from me, please email me at lbhoward@casas.org or at elcivics@casas.org, and I'll send you that email that tells all about this. That's really the only change that happened recently. You can check the revision to COAPs list, which tells you anything that's changed. It tells you any new COAPs, etc. So sometimes things change that are just not crucial for you to make changes, but some of the things, those things in bold on this list, you must change. So sometimes we just change the language to make it more clear, and you can just leave it the way it was if you want to. But every designee, before you select your COAPs, you should look at this list just to see if any changes have been made in the last year that you would need to know, okay? Because you need to be using the up-to-date version. And if your agency has any option 2 or option 3 COAPs that are revised or new, completely new COAPs, new civic objectives, be sure to select those. Again, whether you plan to use them or not, you need to select them every year to keep them in the system. So that may make your number of COAPs rise to a situation where you need to ask for permission. Just go ahead and do that, please, because you need to continue to select those or they'll get lost in the system and you might want to use them in the future. So be sure to do that. Okay. If you want to select anything new, you continue to the selection process to add other COAPs, and it'll have a little box at the bottom that says add COAPs. When you're done, be sure to go to checkout. Some of you write to me and say, nothing happened. Your COAPs aren't selected. What happened? The change wasn't made. And 9 times out of 10, if not more, you haven't gone to checkout. There's a red letters, go to checkout. So whenever you go in there, go to checkout to set whatever you've done. Whether if you've removed or selected or added or deleted, whatever you've done, when you go to checkout, it will be selected. And the person who is the designee, the IELCE Civics primary, we call it, the main one will get an email about the selection. So if you're not the main person, but you are allowed to select, just ask that person to forward you the email so you have record of what was done. Okay. And then important, once you've made selections, you want to let your data person know and make sure those numbers are downloaded into TOPS Pro. So every year we have people after the deadline saying, oh, I didn't select the right co-op and I didn't download it into TOPS Pro and I'm not going to get my payment points. Please don't let that happen to you. Okay, select your co-op and download it into TOPS Pro. And if you don't use it, no problem. You can have things lollygagging around there. It doesn't matter if you don't use it. But if you want to use it and you want to report, you have to have it in there. So do it for everything you select. Okay, let's see if I've gotten any questions so far. Okay, maybe I've given you more information than you needed, but I wanted to show you the new co-ops we had in 2022-23 and 23-24. And we're about to have some newer ones. Our financial literacy focus group has been working very hard, and we've got a great group of people. We're so lucky. And we've been writing a new financial literacy 1.1, as I may have told you last month or when we met in May, that our financial literacy was sort of lagging behind reality here. We didn't have a lot of mobile banking. So we're going to make a whole new 1.1 financial literacy about mobile banking. Think it's going to be doing an online application and then using online mobile banking apps. So we hope that's going to be helpful to you and your students. And that should be coming out by September. So we hope that's going to be helpful to you. And then we're also going to have a new, we hope, 75.2, a financial literacy accounting. So more at the high end of financial literacy perhaps for students who are studying accounting or doing financial literacy as part of their workplace training. And then who knows what else, but at least these two will be coming up soon. Okay, I just wanted to let you know that on July 1st, as every year, all the documents on the IELCE Civics webpage were updated for program year 24-25. So everything you see on there is up to date and new. So we hope as you use those, you'll have all the new information you need. This is new. We have a new FAQ. I haven't posted it on the FAQs yet, but I will today or tomorrow. It's about co-op security. Remember that our co-ops are assessments, civic objectives, and additional assessment plans. That's what co-op stands for. It's an assessment. It's a high stake assessment, which means your agency gets money for every student that passes the assessment. So it's important that these assessments are kept secure, not only when they're not being used, locked in a cabinet or somewhere on your computer, but when you're giving the test. We've had a few situations where when people are giving the test, perhaps electronically, that they're not keeping it as secure as they need to. And what we mean by that is that only the people taking the test can access it, and they can't share that information with anyone else. Okay, so we wrote this FAQ. We always do it in the question answer format. What kind of test security are agencies responsible for when implementing co-op assessments? Whether using paper testing materials, technology, or online tools for IELCE Civics assessments, each agency is responsible for ensuring that only proctored students can access and submit the assessment, and that student responses to assessments are not exposed to other students. So please make sure that that is the case, okay? Very important. If you need assistance with that, talk to your CASAS program specialist. You can always also look at the rules about remote assessment and see if any of those security options for remote assessment can assist you when you're doing in-person assessment, but on a computer, okay? If that's a problem for you. So please make sure that they are secure because you are being paid. Your agency, I should say, excuse me, is getting money for these assessments, for the passage of these assessments, and we want to make sure it's secure so that it can be fair to all. Any questions?
Yes,
Sure.
hi, this is Jennifer. I was just trying to comment in the comments that going back to your new, very exciting co-apps about financial literacy. I'm really, really excited about that. And the reason why I'm excited about it is that we have a lot of high-level or people who were high-level accountants in their own country. They're coming to the United States. They have some English, and of course the US accounting system is a little bit different, but they're familiar enough that, but they still need help coming and getting an appropriate job in the United States. Does anybody know of a program that could help them ease their way into the American workforce?
So do you mean an agency that's using our financial, our accounting co-op?
Well, no, not the financial co-op, but my students will take a look at this kind of co-op and it's gonna generate conversation in the classroom. It's like, hey, I used to be a great accountant in my country. I want to be an accountant in the United States. It's like I have to acquire all this English even to get a job. Is there any way to fast track that or any way to help them acquire the basic English skills for them to get that? Have other teachers seen this kind of problem before? Because there seems to be.
Anybody want to respond to Jennifer? So Jennifer, I'm going to send you the contact information for the two agencies I know who are doing accounting, and maybe they could best help you with that or give you some ideas. So if I don't send that to you soon, email me and I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to still just put this in the chat just for your.
Sure, that'd be great. Okay, and Jamie is
I was
asking,
just gonna say.
thank you, Jennifer. Jamie's asking, what date can we start selecting? And that was July 1. So anytime after July 1, which is now, you can select now. The system is open to you. Okay, and Laura says, we usually send those students to local community college who have more resources. Okay, so that's an answer to your question, Jennifer. And leave Jennifer's question up there in case anybody else wants to answer it. Any questions about this FAQ? Okay, I'm going to move on. Whoops. Okay, and this was an FAQ I talked about last time. Just wanted to let you know that this proxying tests FAQ was changed because of our test situation. So I showed this to you in May, but I want to show it to you again because many of you may still be proxying tests, and I want you to be aware that CASAS standardized tests administered between May 1 and June 30th of 2024 can be rolled over into the 24-25 program, and proxy tests are given a date of July 1, so they can be used as the pretest for the new program year. And the note is very important that only the newer tests, CASAS Steps and Goals series will be authorized for pre and post testing for reporting for 24-25. Okay, so you cannot proxy a life and work test. And this is a link to the FAQ. Just wanted to remind you of that since you may be working on that. And I have some great news for you about our IELCE Civics Exchange. And that is, as you'll notice, every one of the tiles, we call them here, has an active material. So we are so happy that last time I saw you, we had only 17 sets of materials, and now we have 19 sets of materials, and every topic area, it has something in it. So we're so excited. And if you want to access those materials, go to elcivics.o10.us, and I'm going to show you a list of what we have. These are the materials we have for you. They were contributed by these wonderful agencies. And the new ones we worked on, actually, Stephanie did a great job making them accessible so that you could be using them. 3.3, which is our entrepreneurship for BL and BH, that information is there. And we also have 52.2, which is our soft skills for intermediate, low to advanced. That doesn't mean you can't use, teach other things, but these are the materials we have available. So we're very excited. We finally broke the glass ceiling on our instructional materials. And if you are developing new co-op instructional materials, those of you who are writing those new financial literacy assessments, or writing accounting co-ops, or anything else, we'd love you to start making them accessible from the beginning, so it'd be so easy for you. And Anthony Burek from OTAN has agreed to help you make your materials compliant so that all students and teachers can access them efficiently. And then once you do that, you can submit them to the IELTS Civics Exchange and then make our number grow that we have materials available. So we're so excited about that. Please, anybody writing new materials this summer to prepare for next year? Want to raise your hand? I bet you are. No. Okay, well, if you are, let us know and we'll help you.
Lori, Edmund from Claremont said they are.
Sure. Who is it?
Edmund Cogswell from Claremont.
Okay. And so, I see. So Edmund wrote there, thank you. We're making materials for obtaining health care. That is so great. Edmund, would you like some assistance? I see you can't talk on your microphone. Okay. Would you like some assistance making them accessible so then we can post them on the IELTS Civics Exchange? If so, let me write to me and I'll put you in touch, or you can just write directly to Anthony at aburek@scoe.net, and we'd love to help you make your materials accessible. Okay. Thank you so much, Edmund. We really appreciate it. And we really need in healthcare, especially, right, more materials, and because healthcare is so important. And Paul is working on eWorks materials. So that's really great. Thank you, Paul from CASAS is working on a new eWorks co-op, and we are working with him on that. And we hope we'll get some instructional materials with that too. And a question from Elena, are there any resources or materials for adult learners to learn about AI? So we are just looking at that this summer. I think I shared earlier, but if you email me, I'll send you. Well, why don't I just send it to everyone? I have some links to 2 presentations that were given earlier in the year about using AI with students, and some of them talk about how students can use AI, and I can send you those links. So why don't I do that? When I send you these slides, I'll send you those links, okay? And those are 2 presentations from Lyric. Eric Lunches. If you're not getting those emails, you should get on the Lyric list. I'll also send you the Lyric email because I think they're doing such great things. It would be great for everybody. Thank you, Elena. And let me know if I don't do it, just remind me, okay? Just to make sure, but I've written myself a note. Hopefully I will do that. Okay, the last
Lori, there was a question from Jamie that just kind of scrolled by.
Sorry, thank you. Oh.
So it says,
Okay,
can you use
sorry.
a different
Sorry. Okay, great. And I thought somehow thank you. Let me just. So first of all, Jamie, what's only showing 23, 24? The selection process?
Yeah, for that one, I'll figure that part out. My other question was for the different co-ops, like some co-ops are only for beginning low and beginning high, and some are only for intermediate to advanced.
That's
And
true. But most of them are for beginning low to advanced.
Yeah, so this is just like an ongoing question I've always wondered, like if we have, because we typically choose one that goes from like beginning low to advanced. So we only have to do one.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again? Could you repeat that again?
So we typically do one co-op that goes from beginning low to advanced. One set of materials. If you wanted to do one that's only for beginning low and beginning high, can we do something different for intermediate and advanced?
Yes, you can. You can choose different ones. We originally thought that people would be choosing the same co-op for everyone in their agency, but some agencies feel like certain ones are more appropriate for the content's more appropriate for the lower levels, and some feel that different ones are appropriate for the higher levels. So you can choose whatever's up, whatever needs your needs assessment tells you in terms of what the students want to learn about. Yes.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Okay, and then also there are some co-ops that are only for intermediate low to advanced, but agencies have said to us, look, we think beginning low students can do it. And then they've asked to have an exception to that. And sometimes we've written a new co-op with added beginning low to it. So if you think your students can do those levels, the only reason that the other levels are not represented is because the original committees who wrote these or who modified them from what agencies had submitted felt that there were not objectives for the other levels that were appropriate. So if you think that should be changed, again, this is a dynamic system. It changes based on the needs of the community. So if you think that something should be beginning low and it only says intermediate low to intermediate high, please contact us at elcivics@casas.org. Let me just quickly go to, I want to share. Oh, sorry, I'm just not doing it right. There it is. Okay, I'm just gonna, this is the Yale Civics website, and I'm gonna show you more of it later, but I just want to see what you're talking about. So here's the selection process. And if I go here, is this what you're seeing, Jamie? And then when you select pre-approved objectives, I have to log in, and I'm going to show up with a lot of agencies because I'm a super user, but you'll just see your agency. So this is how you would select your co-ops if you are the designated person. And you might restart your computer, make sure you're on Chrome, all of those things help you. So I'm going to go down to Rolling Hills, which is our practice agency. Where is it? There we go. But your agency should just come up.
Yeah, I haven't had a problem in the past. I'll troubleshoot so I don't waste time.
Okay, but no, it's okay. I think it's good for everybody to see this. Submit, okay. And then, well, this shows me the things I've selected, which again, you'll get. Okay, and then if I want to add something, it's running a little slow, but it should happen. Okay, then you have to go twice to the ad to do it. So here's the ad. And the ad takes me here, and then there's a toggle here. So even if it's showing 23-24 to you, you can toggle to 24-25. So those two things are in the toggle. Okay, so be sure you have 24-25, and then press whatever number. Let's say 15, and then it'll show you all the 15s that are available. Okay, and then you just hit select if you want to select that. Any questions about that? Okay, good to see that at the beginning of the year. Let me just go back to the questions. So Jamie, okay, we got that question. So I think you're giving information to Jennifer, which is great. Okay, I think I've gotten to all the questions now. If I haven't, please let me know. Let me go back to my slides. Okay, I wanted to let you know that the IELCE report final results have come in. We have reviewed all of the agencies. 112 agencies submitted IELCE reports and plans. Some other agencies decided not to use the funds this year, and so we originally had more agencies this year, I think about 123, but some of them decided to drop out. About 10 of our agencies were rated not adequate, and they're going to get some special assistance this year to help them implement their programs. 5 of those were new agencies, so we understand that as you're a new agency, it's hard. So it makes sense that the newer agencies had difficulty doing it. But some of you new agencies did a great job and either were rated agencies adequate with the CDE review or adequate. So if you were rated adequate with CDE review, don't worry. Remember, it's adequate. All this means is that you had some programs that were adequate and great, but one perhaps didn't have attendance, or one you couldn't get a teacher. We understand that there's going to be problems whenever you develop a new program or any kind of program. If you're continuing it, you might have some issues that your students didn't attend for whatever reason. So that's why we consider it to be adequate. And we just put a little caveat here that, okay, we let CDE know that there was an issue with one of them, with one of your programs. You're doing great with one, so you know how to do it, but one of them didn't go. And then we want to give you perhaps some extra assistance, or just know that you're going to work on that one more this year and get it up to so that you'll be one of the 80 agencies that were rated completely adequate, okay? So if you have this rating, don't worry about it, but do look at that one program that didn't have attendance and figure out why. Was your orientation not what it should be? Do your students not want to do that training? You offered it because perhaps the community needs those workers, but your students aren't interested in that kind of job. Understandable that you had 0 attendance, okay? But that means you may want to make a change for this coming year. So if you're adequate with CD review, just look at what happened and try to ameliorate it, ask for help, and hopefully next year you'll be rated adequate. And we had 5 agencies described as excellent by the reviewers. I think there may be a few more in there, but we had 5 probably not non-duplicated from previous years. And so we're going to ask them to come to our IELTS Civics meetings and report on what they did, and so that they can share with you their IELCE implementation. Okay, let's see. So Elaine says, when will we get an email telling us our status? Yes, yes, yes. You should have gotten an email way earlier than now, at least one. In May, probably. So Elaine, why don't you email me separately, and then I'll find out who your program specialist or who your reviewer. We did have some extra reviewers this year, and maybe it went to someone that didn't share it with you. I don't know. But anyways, contact me. And yes, you should have gotten at least the first letter by the end of May or very beginning of June. And then if you needed help, you would have been given targeted technical assistance, we call it, to improve. Okay, thanks, Elaine, for checking with whoever submitted your report. That's the person who would have gotten the information, okay? So in terms of sharing the slides, Sharon, are you talking about these slides? I will send these slides to everyone on my IELTS Civics Network meeting list. Okay, and that will be after this meeting. Okay, so I think we're done with civic participation in IELCE. Any questions about civic participation in IELCE? I just saw Jill put in her name and agency, and if the rest of you who haven't done that, please put your name and agency in the chat. Any questions before we move to citizenship preparation? Okay.
Paul wanted to mention a little more about the eWorks
Oh, sure, Paul, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. So Paul, why don't you feel free, share your, talk about eWorks. We'd love you to do that.
So yeah, eWorks is our new soft skills assessment and development program. It is available to California agencies at no cost, and we are working on on a co-op that would allow you to earn payment points if you participate in eWorks, and it would be available only for intermediate, high, and above. Okay. Any quick question about that? Anybody? But you can always contact me at eworks@casas.org if you'd like to know more. eworks@casas.org.
And Paul, if you want to plan a presentation about this for September 25th, we would love to have you do that, okay? So people can learn more about it.
Okay, yes, I'll do that.
Cindy, your hand's raised, so feel free to unmute yourself and
Yeah, I
ask
had
your
a question on the somehow on our payment points, we're showing that we have over 500 people last year who were enrolled in a civic participation class, and only 100 or so showed up. And all of their co-ops that had been entered throughout the year, not all of them, some of them had been deemed invalid. And I was just wondering how that's possible.
So were they 243
No,
or 231 funded?
they were 231s.
231. So that I don't know. And so so you should be contacting your CDE consultant and asking them about that. Because 231, you just have to report that you passed the assessment, or
Right.
sorry, that the student passed the assessment, and they have to have a pre and post test. Remember, all Civics, civic participation, IELCE, citizenship preparation, students have to have a pre and post test to earn the payment point. If they don't have a pre and post test, even if they pass the co-op assessment, they will not, or citizenship prep tests, they will not earn that point. Could that be the reason that your payment points didn't show up?
I have no idea.
Okay, so ask first before you contact your CDE consultant, ask your data person, go over the data and find out who those people are. Did they all have pre and post tests?
Yeah, our data person was a brand new person, and somehow it seems that the classes may not have been set up correctly from the person who preceded her. So we've been trying to get that all figured out during the last 2 weeks of July, but her being new and me being busy with so many other things, I haven't been able to get that all straightened out. So anyway.
And who's speaking? Who's speaking?
Cindy from Merced Adult School.
Okay, and Cindy, what's your position there?
I'm the assessment coordinator and
Okay.
Daytime program manager.
Okay, so yeah, so you should definitely try to figure that out. You know, there are TOPS Pro meetings that talk about all of that in terms of, so my suggestion to you would be to call an agency near you and see if someone can help you. A data person at another agency might sort of evaluate what you've been doing and help you do that. So I might call Fresno Adult School, for example. I think they might be doing a good job. Is anybody in the Central Valley that would be willing to help Cindy figure this out?
What we were able to do is she can do it. I can't do it because of the level of access in the ASAC program that we use. And she was able to go back to 2019, 2020, where a person who had been doing this for 30 years had everything set up. And she went back to that and copied some of those for this new school year. But some of those classes for the new school year, so they'd be set up correctly. So we're trying to get it fixed.
Okay,
but if someone wants to help, that'd be great.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So let us know how we can help you. Okay, and Jamie says, when in doubt, call CASAS tech support. Okay, support will walk you through it. So in terms of setting up your classes, you know, they can help you also.
both of us went to the Summer Institute and took the class, so she and I
Okay.
get together with that. Yeah, and I
Okay.
worked with.
And
well,
Mi Li Vong is saying that back in those years, the class instances were not the same. So going back to 2019 may not be the best thing to do because they may not be the same setup as now as they were then. So thank you so much, Mi Li, for saying that.
Yes,
Okay.
thanks for.
So, okay. So, yeah, so I think you have some resources and let me know if I can be more of help, but yeah, you got to get that taken care of. That could be the reason why you didn't get your payment points. Let's see.
Matt Klein has a question about where can we see the IELCE report and plan questions so that we can answer them as the year progresses.
Thank you. Where can we see? Oh, so I think you mean yes, the summary page. So let me show you where that is. Let me just share with you the Civics page again. Let's see where I think I went back here. See if we can get back to. Okay, so this is the Civics page, right? And over here on the left-hand side, California Integrated English Literacy and Civics Education Report and Plan. Okay, and so you have here the summary of all the questions that were here for 23-24. We anticipate they'll be the same. They've been the same for the past couple of years with some slight tweaking, but in general, they'll be the same. Here's the questions that you want to make sure you're answering, okay, including the IET quality indicator. And then at the bottom of the page, whoops, yeah, at the bottom of the page, it has the link to the Integrated English Literacy and Civic Education reports. If you're the right person, you can go here. I can't because I'm not an agency, but if I click on this, then it shows you that you can access the report that you submitted and previous reports that were submitted. You can't access the review here though. So if you want your review, if for some reason you didn't get it from your Civics, your IELCE reviewer, you need to ask your program specialist for that, or ask me, and I can, if it was a different reviewer than a program specialist, they can help you with that. Okay, 2 new messages.
Edmund put in the link to that page.
Put in the link to this page. Thank you. And I have it also somewhere on my slides. Thank you, Edmund. Appreciate your help. Okay, I think we're up to date. So let me go back and we're going to move on to citizenship preparation. And just tell me when you'd like me to move the slides. Stephanie's going to help us with citizenship preparation today. So go ahead.
Okay. All right. So citizenship interview test. So this one is the form 973 or 974 and it should take about 15 to 20 minutes. This is a one-on-one oral interview test for high beginning to advanced English learners and includes personal information and information from the N400 application for naturalization. It's a simulated interview that helps determine if a student is ready to pass the USCIS naturalization interview. Right. Next slide, please. All right, so citizenship interview test certification. So CIT examiners must be currently certified for students to earn a payment point. So to become a CIT examiner, you have to place an order for the self-paced online training at CASA's Product Overview Citizenship. So there is no charge for WIO2 funded agencies, even though the buttons are kind of confusing. But rest assured, there is no charge for this training.
And so let me just add, if it looks like it's charging you, just go ahead and order it, and you won't be charged in the long run. So don't worry about it. It is confusing, as Stephanie says.
Yes. Okay, next slide. All right, so the citizenship interview test recertification. So CIT certifications expire each year on June 30th. So examiners must recertify each year between January and April 30th. And recertification is also completed online, and they'll be notified about recertification procedures each January. So the CASA CIT certification and recertification trainings close on April 30th of each year. So if you have any questions, please contact CIT at CASA citizenship.org, or call us at this phone number with any questions or for more information. Next slide. All right, so the interview test, the SIT remote testing, there is a CASA's fillable PDF forms, therefore remote assessment. The SIT in-person testing is, you need to order CASA's SIT test book 973 and 974. Again, there is no charge to WIO to funded agencies. Select the bill to my PO box just before checkout, and then do not use the fillable PDF forms for in-person testing. Next slide, Lauren.
Trying to do it. Sorry, my cursor went awry here. Let's see. There we go.
Okay, so the other test, the Government and History for Citizenship test, form 965 or 966. This one takes about 25 minutes, and it is a listening test of knowledge of American government and history, and it's based on the USCIS 100 questions. This can also be given remotely through CASA's e-tests or a flash drive option. So for the flash drive option, each proctor has to have their own flash drive. So you can order that through CASA's, again, free of charge. 231 Citizenship Preparation pre and post testing. So very important, in order to earn payment points under 231 Citizenship Prep, students must have a valid NRS approved pre and post CASA's reading or listening test pair.
Thank you, Stephanie. And Elaine gives a testimonial about the SIT test and that she loves giving it. And thank you for that. I think it really does help students get ready to pass their USCIS test. So we're so lucky to be able to give this test and also earn payment points for our students because they have pass this or the government and history test. So that's a great way to support our programs through these payment points that the state of California is giving us. Any questions about the citizenship preparation information? We just want to remind you at the beginning of the year so that you can, if you need more SIT administrators, you can offer them to get training online. Okay. It says students don't have to be in a citizenship class to take the G&H. So, Matt, that's a good question. If you want to earn if you want them to earn a payment point for taking and passing it, they have to be in a SIT class, yes. But you can sort of double designate your classes. So let's say, and you can find this on the FAQ, the Civic Participation or SIT Prep FAQs. If you have a class from 9 to 12, let's say a.m. in the morning, you can designate part of it as Civic Participation and part of it as Citizenship Preparation. And then your pre and post test counts for both the COAPs and for the G&H or the SIT test. I hope that answered your question, but they do need to be enrolled in a 231 citizenship preparation class in order to get credit for passing the SIT or the government and history. And
another way to do that is to designate certain days for civic preparation and certain days for citizenship, so that, you know, I don't know how, maybe it's more difficult to split up the day to take attendance in the two sections. So that is another way to designate a certain day of the week for each of those.
Okay, and thank you, Stephanie. Yes, and then Jody says, just reconfirming that 231 civic participation is for EL Civics COAPs and 231 citizenship preparation is for the SIT and the government and history test, and that is correct. And then for the listening 965, they have to be in a citizenship class. So that is the government and history, right? Hold on a second. There we go. Government and history test 965. It is a listening test. And yes, if you want to get payment points, earn payment points, they need to be in a designated citizenship preparation class. And Ryan says, thanks for clarifying, Stephanie. That's great. Oh, okay, great. Any other questions about citizenship preparation? So Jennifer's offering some information that if teachers are having problems with teaching the new N400, she'll be doing a seminar for links on August 21st and at CATISO September 6th. Do you want to put those links there for people to find the registration, Jennifer? We would be happy for you to do that. And thank you so much for doing that training. If you haven't participated in training with Jennifer, she's spectacular and you'll learn a lot. Okay, great. And let's see. Okay, now Stephanie's going to tell us about the Promising Practice awardees that received awards at the CASA Summer Institute. Go ahead, Stephanie. Can you
Okay.
share? I'll stop
Yes,
sharing.
share. Thank you. All right. So is everyone seeing the slides?
We're also seeing the what do they call that? That administrative view. Can you switch out of that? There.
Yes, let me reshare. Is that better?
There you go. Yes.
Okay. All right. So Promising Practices and Making a Difference in the Community Awards for 2024. All right, so I want to say congratulations to these agencies: Elk Grove Adult Community Education, Garden Grove Adult Education, Lake Elsinore Valley Adult School, Porterville Adult School, Sweetwater Adult School, and Whittier Union Adult School. These agencies received the Promising Practices Award. And the last school here, Fairfield Sassoon Adult School, received the Making a Difference in the Community Award. All right, so a little bit about what these are. So Promising Practices Award recognizes California ABE, ASC, or ESL adult education providers that have implemented strategies and practices to help students attain their goals, whatever those goals may be. So these practices must improve the program accountability, develop skills students need in the workplace, promote collaboration and cooperation with other programs or agencies, promote the effective use of technology, promote effective student transitions, or have potential application in other adult programs. So that's the Promising Practices Award. The Making a Difference in the Community Award is just what the title says. It identifies civic participation, so that's 231 funded, and IELCE funded, that's 243. So these two programs that go beyond the classroom to affect the community in a positive way. All right, so let's take a quick look at each agencies. So there were 6 agencies that received the Promising Practices Award. So the first one is Elk Grove Community College, Community and Adult Education, and their Promising Practice title was WIOA Collaborations for All Titles. So they developed formal partnerships with WIOA agencies to offer education and employment services at one central location. So they found that this was it helped them to reduce barriers and increase access to services that led adults to career and post-secondary education opportunities. So as you can see here, as a result of their collaboration, they have increases in average wage, in the number of students who got a job, number of students who got an increase in wages, and students who received various services. So very good practice. And this is their contact information, and Angela Rodriguez, her email, and their school website. All right, second school, Garden Grove Adult Education. Their Promising Practices was fostering a supportive learning environment through a new student orientation. So they thought that the comprehensive new student orientation increases student retention and persistence rates by creating a sense of community. So as you can see here from their numbers, they had a 30% increase in the number of students taking the CAPE Student Technology Survey, and then a 40% increase in the number of Social Security numbers and ITIN numbers that they were able to collect. And they also gave a student survey at the end, and so the results show that 92% reported that the orientation prepared them for the first day of school. 93% of them reported that it helped them understand the programs and services available to students. and that 99.4% reported that the staff made them feel comfortable when they arrived to the orientation. So again, another very promising practice. And this is their contact information: Raymond Hernandez and Melissa Patterson. Okay, next on the list is Lake Elsinore Valley Adult School, and their promising practice was a new IET early childhood education pathway. So this pathway included a 12-week ECE course articulated with Mount San Jacinto College. They also added 6 additional hours of volunteer practice at one of their elementary schools. And one of their keys, the final 2, they said helped their students a lot, which was helping them with the application, resume, and prep for the interview. And then also the caveat, the candidates that completed the program were given priority in the employment process for paraeducator and childcare supervisor positions within their district. So it helped them to get the job. All right, so the results of the ECE program, we have increases in every category. So student enrollment, rate of completion, students who got jobs, and students who transitioned to the MSJC, Mount San Jacinto College. And this is their contact information: Teresa Pedrosa and Nahora Vasquez. Next up is Porter Adult School. They implemented their promising practice was a resident care technician program. It was created due to the high demand to fill the RCT position with local skilled nursing facilities and caregivers and home care aides in Porterville and the greater Central Valley. So this picture here is the fall 2023 cohort. And the second picture is the spring 2024 cohort. And so of the spring 2024 cohort, the 10 students who enrolled and completed the program, 1 student completed the Department of Social Services Home Care Aid Registry. 1 student transitioned to the Nurse Assistant Program, and 2 students got jobs as resident care technicians. So this is their contact information: Dr. Larry Ann Torres, and their school website. All right, next up is Sweetwater Adult Education. They had a very specific resource center, the Disability Access and Resource Center, so the DARC. And they provide disability services, educational support, career preparation, and personalized learning. So lots of things packed into this DARC. So they have a lot of good results, but I think that one of the best is here. They had 17 learners who were tested and found eligible for additional support with 100% approval for testing accommodations. So these were students that they thought they might have a disability, or that they already knew that they had a disability, but they had no additional support to help them with that. So the DARC was able to work with these students to get them approved for testing accommodations. And this is their contact information: Kenya Bratton, she is the DARC program manager, and their school website. All right, and last of the promising practices is Whittier Union Adult School, and their promising practices was having integrated syllabi, IET for all. So they went to an advanced design camp to facilitate growth towards a stronger focus on job readiness. And so after attending that, they had a professional development where all teachers in all departments were tasked with revising courses of study and syllabi through the lens of increased workforce and job readiness. So as a result of using the integrated syllabi, they had an increase in Q1 average salary. They had an increase in the number of students reporting they have a job. And the last one, they exceeded their own 20% target increase of ESL students enrolled into additional CTE courses. So I say that their 20% target increase was 27 students. And by April, they already had 38 students and they still had the rest of the school year to go. So they had already exceeded their 20% by April. All right, so this is their contact information: Juan Anzaldo, Lorraine Hammonds, and Dr. Margie Moriarty. And finally, we have our Making a Difference in the Community Award winner, Fairfield Sassoon Adult School, and their Cultural Inclusion Club. Their project was developing role models and leaders for our school and beyond. Okay, so remember, the Making a Difference in the Community Award has to take the whatever results they have out into the community. So that was a very big piece of the puzzle. Their goal was to support students' leadership skills. And so what happened was members of the Cultural Inclusion Club traveled to Sacramento to advocate for adult education and raise awareness about its significance in empowering individuals and strengthening communities. So one of the requirements for receiving this award is they have to have a civic participation or IELCE learning objective. So the one that they addressed for this project was 52.1 soft skills. So getting ready to meet with the senator in Sacramento, they practiced their soft skills, how to shake hands, what kinds of clothes to wear, what kinds of things that they were going to say, things like that. So soft skills really help them with their meeting. And here's a picture of the students and at Sacramento meeting with Senator Dodd to advocate for adult education during Adult Education Week. And the students became role models and leaders, not only for their school, but for their community. And this is the contact information for them, for Kenya Macias Alvarez, and the school website. Okay, so one last congratulations to all the winners of 2024 Promising Practices and Making a Difference in the Community Award winners. So back to you, Lori.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for putting that all together. Just incredible that these agencies all got awarded. And I put in the chat that awardees agree to be models for other agencies. So be sure to contact them if you are interested in their award and what they're doing, what they have been doing in their programs in order to receive this award. And I will, Stephanie, if you'll send me the slides, and I'll add them to the slides that I'm sending everybody in the IELTS Civics Network. So you'll have all those email addresses if you would like to contact them. And also want to say that if your agency would like to apply to be considered for a Promising Practice Award or a Making a Difference Award, please contact Stephanie at sfitzpatrick@casas.org. We're going to start the process a lot earlier this year. And so if you're even thinking about it, contact her. She'll help you understand what the requirements are, et cetera. And we would love you to share your wonderful program this, upcoming, and get awarded next year at the CASA Summer Institute, and then be able to be a model for other agencies. We know you are all doing great things. Stephanie,
Yes,
do you want to say anything else about that?
Yeah, well, just, let's start early. So if you're thinking about it, it is called the nomination form. So you can nominate another agency that you know of that has a very promising practice, or you can nominate your own agency since you have access to all the data and the results and things like that. So if you have any questions, please email me, sfitzpatrick@casas.org.
And Stephanie, let's put that into our slides for September, that your contact information and perhaps the links to the nomination forms, et cetera, and get this going if you're ready
Yes.
to do it. Great. Thank you so much. That was a great presentation. We learned a lot about these great agencies. If any of you agencies are here with us and you'd like to share a little bit of something about getting the award or your program, feel free to raise your hand and we'll call on you and let you share something. And as we mentioned, they will be highlighted in the state network meetings, as far as I know. Am I correct about that, Stephanie?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
So
and I forgot to mention about Fairfield Sassoon, the one that won the Making a Difference in the Community Award. They were asked by COAP to present their advocacy work on a national podcast during the AFLA Adult Ed Week, September 16th to 20th.
So if we're part of that, so COABE is awarding them, how great. So maybe our meeting is September 25th. If you want to send me that information, I don't know if do you have to be a COABE member to participate in that? I can't remember, but I'm sure many of you are. So if you have the link to that, Stephanie, I can put that in the letter as well.
Okay, will do.
Okay, so let me just finish up here. Just let you know that our next meetings are September 25th, November 6th, and December 4th. I think I have eliminated all conflicts, but if I haven't, let me know. Those are already up to register. You can register for them, I mean to say. So feel free to register and you'll get reminders about it. And if you have something to present, we'd love to have you present at any of these next meetings. So let me know what you'd like to present and which of these dates work for you, and I'll contact you. And Dana says, reminder, if you are a CCAE member, oh, thank you, Dana, you're also a member of COABE, and CCAE members get membership to COABE included. So that means you could access this workshop or presentation that Stephanie was just talking about, and I'll give you more information about that. And just as a reminder, please type your name and agency into the chat box. And then before we close out the meeting, if you can register at caadultedtraining.org if you haven't already, that would help me a lot. Any questions about what we've presented so far? Anything you want us to talk about next time? Well, we hope you have a great start to your school year. And I want to mention I'm going to be doing two things now, and you're welcome to stay or not stay. And that is to go have a detailed review of the co-op selection system, including needs assessment, et cetera. I'm going to talk about that and answer any of your questions. And then I'm going to give a tour of the website. So those of you who know all about this, you don't need to stay. And we've loved having you here so far. But those of you who want to stay, feel free. And I will be sending the slides, my slides, Stephanie's slides, and all the information I said I would send you. It's in my notes here, hopefully. And let me know if there's anything else you need. Have a great start to the school year. Okay, Maren, thank you for your compliments. Thank you, everyone. We're glad this meeting can be helpful to you. Okay, so let's just go over again about the co-op selection process. Okay, I'm giving you a detailed review of the co-op selection system and the selection process. The first thing that has to happen is that you do a school community student needs assessment. Now, you may have already completed that, but if you haven't, before you start in September, you should do a school community needs assessment, or at the very beginning of the year, tally it before you start selecting your co-ops. Because every year it is a requirement of the IELCE Civics grant, and those offering civic participation or IELCE must conduct a school community needs assessment. There are links here to information about it. And there are two kinds of needs assessment. One is a general content, usually 233 funding, and then there's workplace content, 243 funding for workforce training. Once you've completed the student needs assessment, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about it, then you need to complete a fillable needs assessment summary form. That's a requirement. And you keep it on file in case your CD consultant or WASC person would be asking you for that form. Once you've done the needs assessment, you use the needs assessment results to inform the selection of co-ops. And you can, if you want more information about how to do a needs assessment, we talk a little bit more about it in the IELCE Civics Basics Requirements webinar, which I will show you when I get to the website review. Okay, I'll show you where that is. Well, and also, I forgot about this. I did do a webinar, the hows and whys of IELCE Civics Needs Assessment, and that's also on the IELCE Civics website, and it's right here. So I guess this would be a better place. The IELCE Civics requirements perhaps has a more general description, but then this is going to be more specific. Okay, any questions about needs assessment?
Well, so Lori, this is kind of a question about needs assessment because it came up while I was creating my needs assessment.
Who's talking?
I'm Soleil Terrell from Pacific Grove Adult Ed.
Pacific Grove. Okay.
So when I was going through like the co-ops before making the needs assessment, when you want to, if you want to revise a co-op, like you're looking at everything and you're like, okay, maybe there's 3 different co-ops and there's like 3 from each co-op that you're like, oh, can we Frankenstein a co-op? I've looked at, like, I know that we can technically, like, we can revise them, and I did see that process. My question is, there is a spot where it's like you have to give like a justification for why you want to revise a co-op. There's another word that it uses,
Well,
but I guess
all we really require is just a description, of why you want to do it. It can be very simple. Just, these are the ones that meet the needs of my students. It's not that crucial, but I would say you may have been looking on the revision. So, an option 2 co-op selection. I would suggest before you do that, just send civics@casas.org a brief description of what you're doing, of the task you want to do. So example, we would like to make a new co-op that uses task 1 from 33.2, task 2 from 33.6, task 3 from 32.7. And this is why we want to do it, because it meets our students' needs in this way, blah, blah, blah. So very simply, just write us what you're hoping to do, and then we'll give you information about whether we can approve such a thing. And if we can, then we'll help you make it happen. And if it works for other agencies too, we'll try to put it on the website for everybody to use.
okay, so it doesn't have to be a necessarily scientific
No,
explanation. Okay,
not at
okay.
all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
My students need this. My teachers feel that this is important to teach for these students. They want this information.
Some of it is just that, like, it seems like really valuable to our students, but the way that it's laid out, I know it would be very overwhelming for them. So it's like some of it is like, how do we give them the information that's valuable from this without it being like overly complicated for our students?
Okay, well, if you think what's there is complicated, yeah, just tell us how you're going to simplify it. Again,
Okay.
so the civic objective, the IELCE civic system is a dynamic system. It was created by agencies. 20 years ago, the CDE said, hey, would you like to make co-ops? Make them all and send them to us, And so they sent them all to us, and then a committee of people standardized them to make them more easy to use and to develop our pre-approved system. But you can always write your own with approval. You can always revise with approval what meets the needs of your agency. So these original agencies wrote what met their needs. They may not meet your needs. So this is a dynamic system. You can always make changes if they follow the requirements of IELCE Civics. So please feel free to let us know how you'd like to make changes.
All right, thank you.
You're so welcome. Anything else related to needs assessment? Okay, let's move on. Okay, just talking about workplace needs assessment to tell you that in the general needs assessment, you're asking all your students, do you want to learn about health? Do you want to learn about financial literacy? Do you want to learn about how to make a community complaint? You're asking them basically the topic areas for all the 61 co-ops. But for a workplace needs assessment for IELCE, it's a little different, because you're wanting to know what kind of jobs are available in your community, and then which of your students, or if any of them, want to get those jobs. So you first need to survey your community for job opportunities. You decide which training your agency or a partner agency can offer of those that your community needs. And then you talk about with the ESL and CTE teacher, what levels of English learners could participate with English support, and you develop a needs assessment for job training and say, okay, we're going to offer these 3 job trainings. Which of you students want to participate? So you know you have student support before you develop a program. It doesn't help you to have a workforce training program that none of your students want to be part of. So that's the needs assessment for job training. Then the ESL teacher and the CTE teacher decide which of the co-ops would be most useful to provide the English language that a student needs to succeed in the training or to succeed on the job. So you do still have to do a needs assessment, but it's a little bit different. And then you complete the needs assessment form and you say how you did it for 243. So if you're funded for 243, yes. So Christian says, do you need needs assessment for both 231 and 243? If you're funded for 243 also, yes, you need to do your needs assessment in this way. And you need to report it on this assessment form. You can use one assessment form and you could put, these are my 231 needs assessments, these are my 243 assessments. And remember, now 243 co-ops are only taught in conjunction with a pathway. So that's why you need to figure out what pathways are being, you're going to offer, and then the co-ops that relate to them. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so again, I talked about this selection process. The selection process is ready for you to select. Again, this is what you're going to see when you first enter. So you're going to see what your agency selected last time, and you can decide whether to select or remove what's there based on your needs assessment. And then after you do that, it'll give you the opportunity to add any more you want for this year. Okay. We'd like you not to wait to do this. We'd like you to do it as soon as possible. Even if you only know one of the co-ops you're using right now, just select it, because we need to see that you've made your selection before October 31st. And don't forget to go to checkout, because that's what actually sets in your selections. Okay, once you select, you want to download your co-op numbers. You can ask your data person to do this. Okay, and you need to follow the instructions for downloading, which can be found on the IELTS Civics participation webpage. Okay, and here it is up at the top of the Civic participation page, an IELCE page. It says download co-ops, and if you press on that, you'll get some instructions on how to do it. Okay, so that's the important thing. Give that to your data person, or you can do it. And you can also access the PDF of this electronic version on the IELTS Civics webpage. I'll show you where that is. Any questions about downloading the co-op? Those are the 2 steps. You need to select and download. If you don't do those 2 steps, the payment points your students earn will not count, and nor will they count if the students don't have both a pre and a post CASAS test in either reading or listening. Okay, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to move on. Remember that you can check the revisions to co-ops document to see any changes that were made for 2024-25, and the items in bolds must be changed. Okay, if it's just in regular print, it's just a suggestion of change. Okay, payment points, to remind you that the IELTS Civic system is a pay for performance. So after students take a pre and post test, I shouldn't say after, once there's a pre and post test on your books at any time during the school year, co-op assessment passage that you report will count towards payment points from your students. Any one student can earn up to 3 payment points from 231 funds. That means they were registered in a 231 funded class, and they took and passed assessments, participated in 30 hours of instruction before they did that. And they can also earn up to 3 co-ops from 243 funds Okay, and this link gives you information as to which co-ops are 231 funded and which are 243. Just to tell you, all the ones are, all 61 civic objectives are 231 funded, and I think about 30 of them, about half are 243 funded. So you might want to go to this list to see which are which. Okay, and again, a reminder, IELTS Civics payment points are earned on condition that students take the pre and post test. Okay. Okay, record keeping. So you may not need this till the end, but it's good to
Excuse
know.
me?
Go ahead.
I have a question about the pre and post test.
Okay.
Is that when you say pre and post test, I know they have the new test now too, the steps. So is that a pre and a post during the academic year, like now starting in August and then going until June? Or would it be like within any year? Like, would it be like the loss that they took in the spring and then now the steps that they're taking in the fall?
Okay, so let's go back to the FAQ for proxying. So it has to be a test that's recorded as a test for program year 24-25. And if we go back to, let's see how I can do this without making you all crazy. Whoops. So don't look, I'm going to go back a million slides to the proxy funding. Here we go. There we go, proxying tests. So you can use a CASAS post test that was administered in 23-24 as a pre-test if it occurred, if the test was given between May 1st and June 30th of 24. It can be rolled over. So use this FAQ, Judith, to make sure that that you're doing correct. And then you give the date of the test as July 1. And so because it's in this year, so it has to be in this year, but you're allowed to use the test from May 1st to June 30th as a test that's now going to be called the July 1 test. And that's called proxying. But it has to be one of the new tests, CASA steps or goals, not life and work.
Oh, so it can't be the old one, it has to be the new one.
Because only new tests count for 24-25, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so if we're going to then administer a co-op, how would they have a pre and a post before
So
the end of
the
the
pre and the
semester?
post happens anytime during the year. So now they're going to take a pre, right? Either they have this proxy or when they begin school, they take a CASAS test, right? And then during the school year, they can take as many co-ops as you give them and pass it, and you report that. Then when a CASAS post test is given or another CASAS test, the pre and the post is sort of a misnomer. It's just a 1 and a 2, right? When you have the second CASAS test, then those payment points will count. So if the student doesn't take a second test, the payment points you might have reported for them won't count. And it all works out. And by June 30th of next year, it all comes out in the wash, as we say.
Okay, so if I give, the co-op during one of the co-ops in the first semester, right, and I can reevaluate it again the second semester after they've taken their pre and their post and still get points for those students.
You don't reevaluate it, just report it. And then TE will take care of it as soon as that post test gets taken. It'll count all the things you've reported for that student. So you just go ahead and report their passing of the test whenever they do it. And then when the post test comes in or the second test, it will be the TE will count it.
Okay, so in terms of like the level of the student, then how would you determine the level? Just whatever level is on the first test, even though it's not a pre and a post?
So the level of the student is whatever you decide at intake. Okay, so let's say this is a new student. They come in September. Okay, you give them a CASAS pretest. You can use that as well as for English learners, you have to use speaking, listening, reading, and writing. You can't only use the reading test to decide what level they are. Okay, and it doesn't matter whether their reading score, their CASAS test score goes up and down, doesn't matter. Only they have to take the test. They don't have to make a gain on the test for the co-op passing to count.
Okay. All right. No,
Have
thank
I
you.
answered all your questions?
Yes, yes, it's very helpful.
Okay, good. Okay, so I thought there were new. Hold on a sec. Let's see if there's any more questions. Okay, yeah, I'm going to send you the recording and the slides. Thank you for asking. Yeah. Were there any other questions, Stephanie, that I didn't see?
No,
Okay.
no other questions.
So are we clear about this now? Because those are all great questions, Judith, and it is a system that has a lot of things. So sorry, I got out of this. Let me get here. Let me just go a little bit quicker back to where we were. Sorry for the scrolling. There we go. Okay, any questions about payment points? Okay. Okay, record keeping, important again. Agencies need to keep one folder. Huh. I feel like this is old. Yeah, okay. It should say one folder, either in paper or electronic, okay, for each IELTS Civics class, not individual student. And the folder needs to include the assessment, the criteria that the teacher or the school used for this to score the students, and the score sheets and samples of student work for at least one pass and one not pass. This is basically for oral testing. That's why you need a score sheet. If it's a written test, then you keep the assessment and then a pass and a not pass. You don't usually have a score sheet for written tests. And these need to be kept for 3 years plus the current year in an electronic or paper file. And your agency needs to know where this is. You can't be the only keeper of these records because a CD consultant or other audit might happen and you need to produce these files. Okay, and all of this information is in Bulletin 0603, and this is where you can find it. Part of the CDE. This is a CDE rule. Any questions about that? Okay, just a reminder, submission deadlines, they're October 31st of every year. At least one co-op must be submitted, and April 30th is the last day to add, edit, or delete co-ops. Please do not miss this deadline. Select all of your co-ops and put them in, download them into TE before April 30th. So be sure you talk to all of your teachers. Sometimes we get like, oh, my teacher out at a site did this co-op. Well, first of all, they should be telling, the co-op should be coordinated by somebody at your agency. Teachers shouldn't just be doing any old co-op they want because they need to relate to the needs assessment. But if that happened, it's okay, but it needs to be reported and selected by April 30th. If not, you're not going to earn those payment points, and all the work the students and teachers did will not count. So please be sure to select and download your co-ops before April 30th.
So on the other end of that, Linda, if you don't get around to doing a co-op by April 30th, is there a reason that it should be deleted? I mean, is it okay if it just stays there but doesn't get administered?
You never need to delete it. You can select it and not use it, no problem. So just select it and download it immediately, whether you use it or not. And the only problem you might come into is that you select more than 10. You need to ask permission for more than 10. But if you're under the number 10 or under a number you've already asked permission for, you can have as many as you want there under that number and only use the ones that you decide to use.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that doesn't matter. They can be there and not selected or not reported or whatever, but You've made it available. So if you do use it, it's there for you. So do it immediately. Don't wait until you decide whether you're going to do it or somebody, is waiting. Just select it, and then you can always use it or not. That's my advice. We had we had like 5 agencies who lost payment points because of that this year. So don't be one of those. Okay, now you may or may not need a tour of the IELTS Civics webpage, but as I said, the IELTS Civics webpage, it has all the information you could possibly need about selecting co-ops, other important documents, how to download the co-ops, webinars and slides. So all the webinars we've done, we post them there. The IELTS Civics Citizenship Preparation support channels. That's the one thing I meant to talk about. I'm going to put that on for next time. And how you contact your program specialist, and a million other things. Here's the link. I think I already have it, so I'm just going to go there. Well, and let me show you actually how to get there from the CASAS webpage. Okay, so let me just go to casas.org. So you will see. Hopefully I'm going to share. If I'm not sharing, I'm probably not sharing. So let me share. Okay, so here's the CASAS webpage, right? And what you do is scroll down, and on the left-hand side, it says California IELTS Civics. You select California IELTS Civics, then you come to this sort of what they call a landing page, and then it gives you possible things you can get here over on the left menu. We're going to go to so for example, California Citizenship Preparation is there if you want more information about that. I'm not going to talk about that today. But this is the page that I want to tell you about, the California Civic Participation and IELCE page. And this is the page that you can get to from that link on the slides that has everything you need. It still has this left-hand menu, okay? And somebody was asking, maybe somebody was asking me today, I don't think it was at the meeting, about electronic testing and remote testing. And you can get all the information about remote testing that we used in the pandemic, but you can still use remote testing. So if you want to test remotely, test co-ops remotely, you can go here, okay? The Civics Exchange, which we talked about, has a link here. The summary report for IELCE is here. If you want to learn more about citizenship preparation, that's there. This is the page we're on. If you want to contact your program specialist or CDE consultant, that's here. If you want to go to the IELTS Civic support channel, which has a lot of video-related presentations that we've done in the past, that's here. We used to do an IELTS Civics conference, but we realized that it's more accessible if we just have everything online. So rather than doing a conference once a year where you come and, take time out of your day, you can just access these presentations online. Okay, and the Citizenship Prep also has a support channel. So everything on this page is important. The most important things are at the top and the least important are at the bottom, just so you know. So these first 4 items are what you need to have. This is the list of all the co-ops. If you want to see what the co-ops look like and what the content of them is, anybody can access this. If you've accessed this and you've decided on your co-ops, you've done your needs assessment, then the designated person goes to this second place, which is where you select your co-ops. If you want to see what you selected, and unfortunately only designated people can see this, you can link here. And then as part of the page, that's where the download co-ops information is also. And then if you want to see what other agencies are doing, so let's say you're doing 33.3 and you want to talk to another agency that's also doing 33.3, you can go here and find out who else is doing 33.3. Now, at the beginning of the year, only 20 agencies have selected their co-ops. So I would suggest you toggle to the previous year to find out who did it last year so that you can find all the agencies who did it last year and you might be able to contact one of those. Okay, so those are the electronic items we have here. The next section are all the PDFs about co-op development, okay? So we have the FAQs, which I talked about, and you'll notice they all have dates from either June or July of 24 because they've all been updated. You can download the FAQs. You can download information about the selection process. You can download the pre-approved civic objective list, which has all the language and literacy objectives. This will help your teachers to know the content that they could be teaching, because it has a list of all the language and literacy objectives, which are lesson objectives or unit objectives for each of the co-ops. Here's the document that's the revisions. You can see anything that's been revised or see any new co-ops. And for all of these documents, if we make any changes to the FAQ or to the revisions, we'll put any changes in green. So anything that happened between July 1 and the present is going to be in green because it's new for this year. So you can tell if you read this paper, if you read the FAQs on July 2nd, and then you read it again in August, if anything has changed, which it will tomorrow or the next day, it'll be in green, and that'll tell you, you can just look at it and just only look at the green things because you've read the other things before. So that's trying to help you. Okay, continuing on. The 231 and 243 funding, which are 231 co-ops, which are 243 co-ops, and what are the immigrant integration goal areas? That's listed here. Co-op information here. Oh, this just talks about the school needs assessment requirement for funded agencies. How to download co-ops into TE, you can find this here. And then this Appendix B tells you ESL level descriptors. It tells you what a beginning low student should know by the end of their course, what an intermediate low student should know by the end of their course. So again, we don't use only the CASAS test to tell us what level an ESL student is. And let me just go back. I should have mentioned, for multi-level classes, it's really important that you decide what level the students are at the beginning of the semester. So if you're doing intake with a student and you're saying, okay, this is a beginning low student, and I'm sending them to a beginning low class, then we know that when we assess them with a co-op, we select the beginning low passing point as to say whether they passed or not. But for a multi-level class, you might not know exactly. So it's really important to designate the level of every student at the beginning of the semester, and then give them the co-op assessment and the passing score for their level. Then in the next semester, maybe they've moved up a level. You've decided that they've improved. So then you designate their level again so that when you give them the next co-op, you can use that passing score. So very important to know the level of an English learner in order to use the correct tasks and the correct passing scores for students. If you need more information about that, contact me, okay? If that's not clear to you. But anyways, the level descriptor helps you decide how you can label your classes. Many large programs have an ESL class for beginning low, another one for beginning high, another one for intermediate low, another one for intermediate high. But if you only have fewer classes than multi-level, you'll still want to know what the students are able to do by the end so that you know when to change their level. I hope that's clear. Okay, here next comes all the webinars and slides. Okay, we are about to, not this one, but we're about to update the IELTS Civics Basics for 24-25. So we'll do that for you. It's basically the same, just a tiny changes. We'll be updating some of these ones that change. But a lot of the other ones, like the hows and whys of IELTS Civics Needs Assessment, don't change. And you can just look at that. If you are new to 243, or maybe you received not adequate for your IELCE program or adequate with CDE review, you might want to review this Planning and Implementing an Effective IELCE IET Program webinar and slides. Also for that, developing a single set of learning objectives, etc. Okay, some of these lower ones here are models, other agencies that are doing IELCE, and they can help you plan your program. And then we have 2 workshops on making instructional materials accessible. And yeah, other things. Okay, so we have a section on distance learning if you want to learn about that. We have information about IELCE, a toolkit that was developed by CDE in 27 and 18, and then the orientation for new administrators. This is the one from last year. If you can't wait until the September new administrators orientation, you could check out these slides here, but we will be updating it as soon as the September new administrator orientation happens. This is for CAPE agencies. We now are saying that CAPE agencies can use co-ops for their ABE and ASE students. And so here's some information for those of you who might have ABE and ASE students who want to use co-ops. We have some digital resources that we just updated. We have information about needs assessment and how to implement it. And then we have other resources. So there's a list of a number of things. One thing you might want to check out if you're teaching culture, social justice resources. We have this great list here. And I think that's the major things that you want to know. Okay. Over here on the left, I want to show you the EL Civics support channel. Again, these are past presentations that would be useful to you. One of the things is the EL Civics network meetings are here. If you go scroll down a little bit, there we go, recent EL Civics network meetings. So if you, I'm going to send you the link to the recording, but if you don't have it, you can always find here. So May 1st, our last meeting is here. You can find the recording here. Going back up to the top. This is in the wrong. Oh, I guess this is just the first for you is just sort of a sample. I'm not sure what that is actually. A sample of things. But then we have EL Civics implementation. EL Civics Basics is here. The presentation you can also find on the website, but if you didn't look there. So a number of the webinars are listed here. A number of IELCE programs are listed here, or things about IELCE. If you need information about TOPS Pro, that's listed here. So for your data person. And different instructional support resources are here. Information about the EL Civics Exchange. And then I think most importantly, this one, agency implementation examples of IELCE. So these are all the agencies that have presented to us in the past at our network meetings that are telling you about their great IELCE program. So if you're new to IELCE 243 funding, I suggest you go here. Soleil, well, go ahead.
So this is my second Yale Civics meeting, and then the first one I went to, you had suggested there were two. You said there were like 2 webinars that I needed. It was like a beginners.
Okay.
I guess like the beginners. I didn't think to ask at the time. Do you know the title of those 2 webinars?
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry if I didn't give those to you. So yeah, let me just finish this and I'll go back to where they are. They're here also, but I think it's easier just to see where they are. Yeah, I think we've done this. So let me go back to the civic participation. So the basic, the basic EL Civics presentations you want are these 2 here. California EL Civics Basics, Civic Participation IELCE and CAPE requirements. That's this one right here. And it says 23-24, but truthfully, hardly anything has changed. So go ahead and do that. And then Stephanie and I are going to be giving an updated version just to have the most recent, but really everything you need to know is here. And then the second one is this one, EL Civics Basics, Understanding and Implementing Co-ops.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And I don't know why this one isn't the updated version, but anyways, I'll check that out. I'll make sure these are both updated, but you can look at this now. It'll help you. Sorry if I didn't give that to you before.
No, it's okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay. Is there an area for the assessment after the 30 hours of instruction for co-ops? So I'm not sure about your question, Christian. Can you ask it orally, please? I don't know what you mean. Oh, that's what Stephanie asked you to. Do you mean the area on the website? Okay, we're changing our approach for the assessment after 30 hours of instruction. We have created the needs assessment, but want to ensure that we are prepared for the assessment test after the instruction of the co-ops. Okay, I see. No microphone, no worries. Okay, got you. So you don't mean a needs assessment then. So are you talking about giving the assessment or writing the assessment? So each agency is required to write their own assessment or borrow it from another agency. And, most agencies that do that, give usually the last practice that they do is a similar thing to the assessment that they're going to be given. And that way they can see whether their students are ready for that. I'm not sure if maybe you can call me, Christian, if you want me to help you more with that after the meeting. Okay, I'm happy to talk to you. We're trying to get a basic formula outline for this process. For writing the assessment or deciding whether students are ready to take the assessment. For writing the assessment. Okay. So I'm not sure how to answer you. One thing, if you're very new to this, what you might want to do is borrow another agency's assessment to see how it's written. And then I wonder, Stephanie, do you remember if there's any sort of practice, any of the EL Civics exchange materials that would sort of have a practice test before the actual assessment that's on the instructional materials? Does that make any sense?
Yes. So I don't think there are any actual practice assessments, just because we try to stay away from that. But my advice would be to look at what exactly the task is asking for, and then look for the practice that's in the whatever the materials on the EL Civics Exchange that already exist that is closest to what that task is asking for. So usually it goes in steps, like it starts with a vocab and then some other practice, and then usually one of the later practices that's very close to the assessment. So you can base your assessment off of that practice.
So for example, yeah. So the practice shouldn't be the assessment, but sometimes it's very close.
Yes.
So let's go to,
So it might have like a write a letter to your doctor, and then for the practice, it'll have letter A, and then for an assessment, you have a letter B. It's still doing the same thing, just in the practice, they would practice how to actually write the letter. The content of the letter might be different, like, changing medication from A to B, or, something like that. But some task that they've practiced that is very similar, so that they would be able to do, even if they were given a new scenario to work off of.
So let's just see. So I'm showing you the EL Civics materials for Romancha Santiago. I don't know if we're going to see the right thing, but this is for advanced, okay? Student practice packet. Let's just see if I can, oh, there it is. Where'd it go? There we go. And I'm happy to, hopefully we're not taking people's time who don't want to learn this, but I think it'd be good for everybody. But so the assessments are not here, but it's possible that the last exercise is going to be similar to what the assessment would be. So I think maybe that's what you're asking. Whoops. Okay. It says move from the, hopefully. So are you seeing the advanced EL Civics packet or not?
No, not yet.
Okay, hold on. So somehow it's not showing it. Let's go. Okay, now, okay, so let's, so task 1. Let's see if they have the task 1 here. Okay, so they're saying task 1, demonstrate let's go to the last one, task 3. Given a scenario, write an email that constructs a claim using appropriate style, tone, and register and format. Okay, let's go to task 3. Let's go to the last practice. So the last practice is write an email about a concern. So basically they're giving the students the practice before they write before they take the assessment. So they're giving them pretty much the same thing, but this scenario is going to be different for the assessment. So they're having them practice what the assessment is to write an email about a concern. They're giving them a practice scenario, but then the test would be a different scenario. And maybe there would be scenario A, B, and C that they give some students A, some students B, some students C to make sure that they're not telling each other what the answer might be between classes, for example. Does that make sense? So, and even here, so now here it says practice evaluation. So they're giving them a practice that's very similar to what the test will be. So Christian, are we answering your question? Oh, you have to chat with us. Sorry. I was expecting an answer. Sorry. Let's get this. I have to look for the chat. Let's see, where's the chat? Okay, that helps a lot. Okay, so to see if that helps you in the exchange, and then the other thing would be to, ask another agency for their materials, both their instructional materials and their assessment, if they'll let you borrow it, and then see if that can help you figure out how to do it yourself at a future time. Okay.
Or the Torrance Adult School website also has a lot of their
right.
materials.
Right. So do you have that link?
Yes, let me get it.
Okay, so Stephanie's going to put the link for the Torrance Adult School materials. They have a lot of great instructional materials. They don't have the website there, but they've always been great about lending their assessments. So see if that helps you. Okay, great, Christian. Thanks so much for your questions. Really great that you're wanting to get everything in place at the, when you start doing this. It's wonderful. Okay, I think I've told you everything I can. We've gone over. I hope for those of you who've stayed, it's been helpful to you. If nothing else, it'll be on the recording. So those of you who weren't able to stay could listen to it at a future time. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to go up to our last slide that talks about when we'll see you again. There we go. Our next meeting is September 25th. Hope to see you then. Between now and then, please write any questions to elcivics@casas.org. I will be sending all of you on the EL Civics Network meeting list, the slides, the recording, Stephanie's slides, and whatever else we talked about sending you. Have a great start to school, and we'll see you on September 25th. Bye-bye.